For this video, I intend on introducing to you a challenging but immersive way to enhance your games and milsim by using Squad as an example. I have been playing Squad mostly without any HUD for a very long time now and can say overall it has made the experience much more exhilarating for me. Decisions feel more grounded, combat is more intense, and chaos escalates exponentially. Because I run without any heads-up display most of the time, what seems like a going in blind type situation actually more so results in a deeper situational awareness of my teammates and our mission altogether. Heads-up display, or HUD for short, refers to icons and identifiers that appear overlaid on top of your in-game viewing window for the purpose of providing the player with interactive data about their inventory or surroundings. HUD also encompasses, but is not limited to, crosshair reticles, waypoints, minimaps, name tags, kill feeds, health and status, as well as hints, tips, tutorials, and reminders. The original benefit that came from the introduction of heads-up display in the real world was to allow an operator of something like an aircraft to maintain focus on main viewing areas without having to look away down at their instruments, meaning they can keep their heads up. HUD does not eliminate the need to occasionally take eyes off of the main direction of travel, but instead just reduces or minimizes the time and/or distance that it takes to visualize critical data. Blips, notifications, and banners should be minimal in that they are less intrusive visually than the main view, and should not be overly distracting to remain effective. The subtle integration of real-time on-screen data is crucial for maintaining constant situational awareness, especially regarding systems that are normally buried deep within menus or are difficult to keep track of in mental short-term memory. In Squad, the heads-up display, although minimal, gives the player on-screen visuals of key battlefield necessities, such as friendly name tags and objective capture gauges, while also having access to radial menus for inventory and vehicle interaction, emotes, command actions, and map marking. Infantrymen can see their current stance and body lean, magazines and their ammunition levels, fire mode selection, ranging, compass with cardinal directions, stamina bar, and weapon steadiness. Vehicle and emplacement operators may also see speed, health, and position gauges, and a list of respective controls, in addition to the asset-specific real-world simulated HUD that shows data such as range finding, munition selection, ammo counters, and other modern armor tech. Most of Squad's on-screen text exists to supplement information that the actual soldiers should be tracking themselves, could conclude from their own natural situational awareness, can feel with their own two hands, or would see by checking actual modeled instruments. Because we control the player with a keyboard and mouse and a limited field of view, heads-up display in Squad attempts to more accurately depict status and surroundings to help bridge the gap between simulation and reality. So then what if we turn this HUD off? Why might one feel the urge to handicap themselves by eliminating on-screen indicators in the first place? Squad is already a place of eternal suffering as it is, so hindering yourself further just seems masochistic. Hear me out when I suggest that disabling HUD has the potential to elevate your gameplay experience overall. Out of all of the various text and menus when enabled, only some of it is absolutely critical in specific scenarios, but none of it is needed at all times while in combat. While offering the player quick reference to vital data could determine survivability in one circumstance, the same glance may very well cause a distraction which results in loss. Becoming overly reliant on HUD also burns bad habits into gameplay, such as with the constant need for range marking or frequent friendly fire due to misidentification from not seeing name tags. Not only can heads-up display hurt reaction times and instinctual skill, having it enabled also takes away much of the immersion of the simulated combat experience. The first and main benefit of disabling HUD is to reduce clutter on the screen. When it comes to sending rounds toward the enemy, all you really need is a magazine in the weapon, the barrel pointed forward, and your finger on the trigger. With nothing in the way, no new message notifications in the corner, your killer instincts are free to take control and none of that other stuff will matter. Because of the fewer distractions, situational awareness may actually skyrocket, since compensating for more unknown variables will likely result in a more focused playstyle. For example, no voice channel indicator means you will have to better associate unique voice tones to their respective players in order to know who is communicating. Without name tags on friendlies, you will be more cognizant of where your squad is and isn't because you will be tracking their proximity to you a lot more organically. Not having magazine capacity reminders will force the player to keep track of their bullets like they are being rationed. Overall, the problem of not knowing vital information in turn causes the player to mentally calculate and guesstimate, which bolsters a better understanding of the environment and surroundings, all of which falls under the umbrella of immersion deepening. I would argue that aside from the inherent challenge that comes from playing games, immersion is the core reason for simulated combat in the first place. What better way to immerse yourself into the role of the operator than to see through their eyes as lifelike as they might? Real-world warfighters do not have the luxury of HUD and instead need to manually keep track of their magazines, know where friendlies are at all times, recall team and squad call signs, know where the objective is, approximate distance and range, maintain their stamina, and above all, survive. However, squad is, at the end of the day, just a game, so turning off key mechanical components is not without its downsides. Without cardinal directions on the screen, the player with no HUD is sure to fail at pinpointing callouts, especially compared to those still with access to the compass. Even keeping track of which direction north is becomes increasingly challenging with the way the maps are laid out and without the organic sense of environmental factors such as sunlight and wind. The biggest detriment for me has to be the inability to access radial menus, like when trying to place deployables or enter/exit a vehicle. In fact, there is nothing more immersion breaking than running up to a car in the heat of battle to escape, but then having to toggle the HUD back on just to step inside. This also means simple interactions suffer, like when attempting to resupply or pick something up. Simple things are taken for granted with heads-up display present, like being able to know which color smoke grenade has been loaded, which fire mode the weapon is on, and what distance the range is set to. With HUD disabled, much of these simulated experiences are not in any way, shape, or form distinguishable simply because the game was mechanically built with on-screen data in mind. Still, playing in screenshot mode is something I recommend giving a try, so here's how you do it. From the escape menu, just toggle the HUD with its little eye-shaped button at the bottom. Prefer console commands? Hit the tilde key and then type set HUD widgets enabled 0, followed by enter. Not ready to full send into immersion hell? Try adjusting some HUD adjacent values in settings. Stance indicator can be toggled, compass can be adjusted, on-screen messages can be disabled, squad roster can be hidden, and voice channels can be specified to separate ears for easy distinguishment. If you can get past the big bummers of limitations that disabling HUD introduces to see through to the positive intensity that it brings in the end, Squad, and any other game for that matter, can turn into a more stimulating experience when set to hardcore mode. Everything just feels like it is there in front of you, like there is nothing between you and the combat. Except when you rely on something on screen to advance, adapting your playstyle to train like you fight is integral to fully seizing the entire point of playing realistic simulations in the first place. If only just to briefly toggle it before a particularly cinematic moment, screenshot mode is certainly a satisfying way to witness rendered warfare in its purest form.